Hi, today we are going to learn how to implement request validation for REST API in API Gateway. We are going to implement the entire solution architectures in Terraform using the production ready configuration. Let's get started. Hi all, in this lab 3, let us understand how to do request validation for a given API. Okay. Now, when the client sends a particular request in the form of, let's say, JSON file, now instead of validating that request in the backend, okay, which is costly and takes time, so why don't we do the request validation in the API gateway itself to save time? Okay. Now, let us understand how this works. Okay. Now let us say we have one API gateway which is a regional endpoint, and the name of the REST API is calculate price, and then we have one resource called slash price per meter. Okay, this is implemented using the Lambda as a backend. Now the clients will send a request, for example, with one JSON file, and somebody has to validate that whether the request is coming from the client is in the right structure, right schema. So this is where we will define one model within the API gateway to validate against this particular model, okay, for all the incoming request. So the request validation happens automatically by API gateway. So once the request is validated by API gateway, then the request will be transformed. Okay, so this is where we are actually doing the integration request transformation. So the down payment method, the down payment field is now um, assigned to down payment amount, which is another field, so which is part of the transformation. Now the Lambda will do the processing, send the response back, and we're not doing any transformation on the response, and the same thing will be sent to the client as it is. Okay, so this is the end-to-end flow that we're going to deploy and test it now using the source code in Terraform. Okay, let's get started. So in the lab 3, what we are going to implement is REST API request validation. Okay, now let us go to the source code. So this is a simple REST API, which is a regional API, and we are creating one model here. So for the demo, we wanted to ensure that the incoming requests from the clients are in the proper schema. So that means the price field should be a number, the size field should be a number, unit should be a string, and the down payment should be a number. Okay, so if the input data is not matching with the schema, then the request validation will fail and the API gateway will reject the request. Okay, so that is the demo that we are going to showcase now. So this is a price per meter API. Okay, now in the gateway method, so we are ensuring that the request is validated using a request validator. Okay, so we have to use one more object to create the validator, and the name of the model against which we are validating the request is cost calculate request. Okay, so let's go down. This is the request validator. So name of the request validator is REST underscore API, and this is for the REST API. Okay, so within this API we have one validation, and the entire the validation is for the request body. Okay, so you can have the validation for the parameters, but in this case we are validating the request body. So integration is same like in the previous demo where we are doing the transformation and the input data. This is the integration request transformation. Okay, so this is the integration response for this method, and we also have the method response, okay, which is status code 200. So let's go ahead and deploy this. So I've already done that to save time. Now let us go to the source code and see how this works in action. So this is our API. Okay, within the API, so if you go to the models that we have defined, so this is one of the models. So if I click on this, you see the various fields within the request and the type of the data that it has to be. Okay, so for example, this is a number, this is also a number, the size is also a number, and the other one is a string. Okay, the type is a string for the fourth one. Okay, now let us first um, go ahead and test this. Okay, Now in the request, so let's go to the price per meter. So the request validation is now set. Okay, earlier it was not set, now it is set. The rest of the configuration is same, so we're not going there to save time. Now let us go to the test screen and put some input data. Okay, so one of the sample data that we have for this is, so let us use this. Okay, now here if you see, the price is a string, size is also a string, unit is this is a string, but the down payment is also string. Now let's check whether this is going to succeed or not. Okay, so if I just send this as it is, now we see the invalid request body, bad request exception. Why? So if you go back and see the details, the request body does not match the model. Sorry, the request body does not match model schema for content type. Okay, application JSON. So that means we don't have the proper data. So it is also saying which one is wrong. Okay, so it is saying does not match any allowed primitive type integer. So we are expecting integer, but we gave string. Okay, now let us change this. Okay, let's go to one more example. So we will have one more example here. So here we are sending the proper data. Okay, now these three are numbers, this one is a string. So if I do the testing, now it is proper. HTTP status code is 200, so that means it has validated the request, went to the Lambda, which is a backend, and the response came. And if you see, the total cost is 40020, that means the transformation is also happening. Okay, so both the message transformation and the request validation, both features are enabled in this demo. Okay, so this is how you can ensure that the request validation happens at the API gateway level instead of the backend to save time and effort and also the latency.